Welcome to the Art Project. If you are new here, please hit the subscribe button. If you enjoy this video or get anything out of it at all, please hit the like button. We're going to do a color wheel based on a Gothic Rose window. So in order to do this, I'm going to set up my paper. It's an 18-inch by 18-inch square. I'm going to find the middle of this, mark the middle of this. And then I'm going to use a compass that I'm going to make from a piece of poster board by poking a hole on one end that I'm going to put a thumbtack in for the middle, and then another hole 9 inches away, which I've already measured. I'm going to put the thumbtack into the middle of the drawing paper where I marked it, and then I am going to use my pencil to draw a circle that goes all the way around the paper. Now 9 inches is the radius of this circle because my paper is 18 inches by 18 inches. So I'm going to use the radius to mark off 6 different increments. I'm going to put a random mark first on the circle, put the pen in place, and then put a mark at every radius on the edge of the circle. This will create 6 different points. I need 12 for this project, so I'm going to then divide those 6 in half. And the way I'm going to do that is by going back to my original mark, my starting point, and I'm going to create a mark or a radius line, radius circle part thingy, and then another one that crosses it. This is going to sort of bisect the segment on the outside of the circle there, and that's going to give me a point here, which I'm going to then connect with the middle of the circle, and then I'm going to put a mark on the outside of the circle. That is right in between the original 2 marks that I made. And then if I start there with my thumbtack, I can then put a mark at the radius again, and each radius will be in the middle of all of the other marks that I've made. This will then divide my circle up again into 6 sections, and the first 6 sections and the second 6 sections will equal 12 sections. However you want to do this is fine. This is just the method that I've been using. And then I'm going to connect the center to each one of those 12 points all the way around the circle. Once I have marked all 12 radii, I'm then going to divide one of them up into 12 different sections. To do this, I first found the middle of this pie. This is not a necessary step. You can somehow or another divide it up any way you want to, but the very first thing I did was I made a circle, and you can do any shape you want, but I made a circle in the middle of that pie, and everything towards the middle is going to be a tint, and everything towards the outside of the circle is going to be a shade. So you're basically just making one large shape in the middle that's going to be your pure color, and then you're going to divide the rest of it up any way you want to. I used a protractor as a straight edge just to make straight lines, but you can divide it up in any way you want to, as long as you have 10 to 12 different sections from the inside of the circle all the way to the outside of the circle in that one pie. If at any point you're not really sure about something, please stop the video and rewind it and listen to it again. Stop the video, rewind it, and watch it again. Pause it, think about it, try it out as you're going. I find it's always really good to watch a video all the way through first, and then start it over again and start it at the bottom, at the beginning, and work along with it, pushing pause as you go. I'm now going to take a piece of tracing paper, and I'm going to trace all of the white sections in this this 1/12 of the pie. I took a Sharpie and outlined all of my lines because that's going to create the framework of my Gothic Rose window. But then I went through with this tracing paper and I'm tracing all of it. Now when I'm done tracing this, there will be pencil on the top of the tracing paper. Then I'm going to flip that tracing paper over. You'll see this in just a moment. I'm going to flip the tracing paper over and I'm going to trace it again on the back into the next piece of pie. All right, so I've now flipped it over. I'm going to tape it down so it doesn't move while I'm tracing it. This is the back of the tracing paper. And you can see how the tracing is now backwards because I've flipped it over. And now I'm going to trace it into the next pie. I'm going to do this over and over again. Every time I do it, I'm going to flip the tracing paper over. And I'm going to do this over and over again for all 12 sections. So I just flipped it over, and I'm going to trace it again. As you're doing this, you'll find by the time you get to about the 8th tracing, your tracing paper is starting to get weak. You want to be careful. Don't press down too hard, just hard enough to trace it. But even if your tracing paper does tear a little bit, that's okay. Your pencil will probably just mark directly on the paper through the hole that it makes. Just as long as the majority of the tracing paper stays together and you're able to go all the way around the circle with it. I've never had a piece of tracing paper not make it through all 12 sections. Here I have 6 of them done, working on the 7th and the 8th. Again, just working my way all the way around. This is a pretty time-consuming part, but if you do it right, it'll make your circle into a rose window, or at least the framework of that rose window. And then the last one. After going around and tracing everything, using the tracing paper to transfer it, I then get out a very wide Sharpie marker, and I use my ruler to kind of make sure that all the lines are straight. At least I did this for the middle lines, and you'll see at the end of the movie, or at the end of the second part of this video, of this project, I used a ruler to go over it at the end. Be very careful making the circles. Take your time. Again, I just went over every line, every pencil line with the Sharpie, filling it in, and you'll see my rose window taking shape. I appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up, if you enjoy this video, if it's helpful. Please rewind it and do all that stuff that you need to do in order to learn from this video. You cannot just watch a video one time and get it, at least not usually. You really need to watch it over and over again just in case you miss anything and kind of follow along with it. You can speed it up, you can slow it down, you can do whatever you need to do in order to make this work. This is part 1 of creating this Gothic Rose window color wheel format, and then there'll be a part 2. Thanks. It's your turn. Go make some art.